right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for making it today to our little cooking class, 30-minute class. Today we do have Chef Laura, and she has been with Provident in-person cooking classes we've done in the past. So today she's going to be doing a quick cooking class. It'll be 30 minutes. If you have any questions for her, feel free to ask or put it in the chat below. But yeah, whenever you're ready, Chef Laura.
Absolutely. Hey, Provident. How are you guys all doing? It's been a while since we have seen you. Chef Laura, welcome to Portola Valley and Kitchen TV, broadcasting live. Glad to have you here for quick cooking. It's a fast class, so if anyone is actually cooking along, maybe raise your hand or put it in the chat box, but I'm assuming people aren't. You certainly can cook along because you've got enough time to do the first recipe for sure. Okay, so I was going to say describe your diet in 6 words, but I don't think we have enough time to talk about that. But as you're thinking about that, did you say anything about plants, anything about vegetables? So that's really where, as eaters, you and I have to move toward. We want to make sure we're getting protein. We want to make sure we're getting our carbohydrates, rice, potatoes, pasta, whole grains. But vegetables are what we really need to learn more about in this culture because unfortunately, we just don't really know much about them. So that's what this class is today. This class is really the way that I eat at home. I work professionally in food. I cook all day. The last thing I want to do is come home and cook. So this is my system, and I am happy to share it with you. No matter what you eat, you're going to eat a combination of vegetables, proteins, and carbohydrates. And when you add a seasoning to that, you have dinner. And so this class is going to teach you how to use any vegetable you happen to have in your refrigerator, any cooked meat or protein, tofu, tempeh, chicken, beef, whatever that you've got around in the freezer, already cooked or in the refrigerator, and then combining with any kind of carbohydrate for that perfect quick meal. We're going to learn about the secrets of vegetables and seasoning lesson number 1 and number 2. So, and then we're going to learn about easy seasoning system to bring it all together. So let's begin. So if you've been to my classes before, you know that vegetables have secrets. Vegetables have secrets. And the secret of vegetables is that they are sweet. And you say sweet, right? An onion, is it, if I had a raw onion and I ate it, is it sweet? I took a bite out of it. Is it sweet? No. But if I cut that onion up and start to saute it, what happens? It caramelizes. It becomes darker. The flavors are richer. It becomes sweet. And the reason why is just science. When the carbohydrate in the onion reaches a certain temperature, it starts to change and develop. And that temperature is 330 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, 166-ish Celsius. So, are you smarter than a 5th grader? What temperature does water boil at? You may not remember. Most adults don't, but water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees C. There comes Jerry coming on it, 100 degrees C. So water boils at 100 C, but secrets come out at 166-ish C, 212, 330. So if you boil and steam all your vegetables, they just don't get hot enough. The temperature doesn't get hot enough to bring out the sweetness because we need a temperature of 330 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. And where do I get that in the kitchen? Grill, oven, broiler, saute. So today in the quick cooking class, we're just going to look at saute as a way to bring our vegetables into a place that we want them, which is sweeter because we're all attracted to sweet. Next week, by the way, we've got a sweet class. It's cooking with less sweet. We bring that temperature to 330 by the process of saute, and that's what we're going to do today. So I want to not introduce you, just bring your attention to this easy seasoning handout. This is salt and pepper with the college education. And if we caramelize the vegetable and deglaze the can as we will, then we want to just add in our protein and carbohydrates with some easy, quick sauces, salt and pepper with a college education. So let's make 3 today that are on this easy seasoning handout. Now you'll notice that there's no quantities on this easy seasoning handout because it's for you to figure out how much you like or don't like. We'll talk about that. Think about everything as equal parts until you get a better handle of this seasoning handout. And any vegetable, any meat, any protein can go with these seasonings. You find out what you like best. All right, so the first one we're going to do, I'll take the overhead shot, please. In the background, we've got Ray DeFazio being my wingman or my Ed McMahon. So thanks for being here, Ray. And we're going to start. All right, so I've got the overhead shot. I'm going to do the first one is maple syrup and Dijon. And in that idea of making a seasoning that is equal parts, I'm going to say, actually, I don't want equal parts maple syrup and Dijon because for me, that would be too sweet. So for me, I'm going to do 1 part Dijon and 2 parts, or excuse me, 1 part Dijon and a half part maple syrup, because that's the way I like it. And I'm just going to mix that baby up. That's my first easy seasoning. Remember, it's salt and pepper with a college education. My next seasoning is going to be a combination of some apricot jam, which is, as we know, really good in savory applications. Apricot jam. I'm going to add a little bit of salt to it or soy sauce, or I'm going to introduce you to something new maybe. It's called Bragg's liquid aminos. If I can say it, I can introduce it to you. And it's soy sauce that hasn't been fermented. It's made from soy. And I'm going to add maybe about a quarter of that because that's the way I like it. I'm going to add a little bit of chicken stock to dilute it so that I can make a sauce. So maybe about the same amount, a tablespoon or so, same as the salt. And then I'm going to add a little bit of mustard as well. Now, any of these, you know, if you don't have any mustard, just a little squirt. And then this is my second easy seasoning. Mix that guy up. And of course, it's not perfect. The heat will help distribute that solidified apricot jam. And then the last easy seasoning I'm going to do is a combination of, and this is again on your easy seasoning handout, some ketchup. I've got some interesting different kind of ketchup with no sugar added. You know, there's so much sugar in ketchup. You may want to look for new brands if you choose to like this. This is kind of a modern, more of an Asian barbecue sauce. The recipe says hoisin, but I didn't have any hoisin. I couldn't find it in the market, no surprise. Hoisin is like a thickened, seasoned soy sauce. You can use oyster sauce. I actually had some ponzu sauce, which is similar, but not as thick. And I'm going to add that. And then the easy seasoning that on your handout says sriracha. I didn't have any sriracha today, but I do have a different kind of hot sauce, and I'm just going to add a dab to that. And that is my third easy seasoning. Now, these seasonings can go with any vegetable, any protein, any grain. And let's begin. All right, I'm going to take the stove shot, please, Ray. All right, so I have a not nonstick pan here. It's not a nonstick pan because in seasoning lesson 1 and number 2, we want to have things stick. The things that stick are the skins of the vegetables that become caramelize themselves. And there is a name for the stuff that sticks to the bottom of the pan. It's called fond, F-O-N-D. And it is a dehydrated essence, the culinary gold. Do not flush it down your sink. I'm going to take an olive oil. I can take an extra virgin olive oil, which is also fine. The smoke point of extra virgin olive oil is 375 to 425. And here I'm using about 365 to 375 on top of the stove top. And to that, I'm going to add whatever vegetable I have. So I happen to have some Brussels sprouts. You'll notice I cut them small. And when we're doing easy seasoning, it just so happens that small vegetables are good for us because what happens if I cut something smaller? How would it affect the cooking? So the first thing is that when you put your vegetables in your pan, you want to basically a single layer, because the place where the secret comes out is the place where the vegetable touches the pan. And if you have a bunch of vegetables on top of each other, they're not going to be touching the pan. So I want to make sure that I'll maybe mix it in the beginning, but don't leave it like this, because this vegetable sauteing. But what is the vegetables on the top doing? Steaming. So flatten it out and allow all the vegetables to touch the pan. Allow all the vegetables to caramelize. Seasoning lesson number 1, caramelize your vegetable. Okay, seasoning lesson number 2. As I cook, there is, again, that brown stuff that sticks to the bottom of the pan. Now, it hasn't really started yet, but we might see a little bit. We'll see it when it comes up. And that stuff is called, again, fond, F-O-N-D. It is the dehydrated gold, the culinary essence. As we said, you don't do like everyone does and wash it down the pan or wash it down your sink. You want to take a deglazing liquid and pick that up and put it back in your food. That's seasoning lesson number 1. I can season my vegetables without adding any seasoning whatsoever by the process of caramelization. We're starting to see the vegetables turn brown, which means some of it is actually starting to stick to the bottom of the pan. We don't have a lot, but we have enough to show. So with caramelization, we can deglaze our pan with anything. So most commonly, wine, we would say, or stock. But what's important is you can deglaze with any liquid. You can deglaze with apple juice. I couldn't find apple juice today, so I actually have some kombucha. I can deglaze with that. Do you like olives? Do you do anything with the juice in the jar? Deglaze with olive juice. It doesn't matter what you use. It will change the taste. But what's important is that you don't add so much that this just starts to boil, because then what happens to my temperature? Drops down to boiling point of water, and I have to sit around and wait till it gets back up to 330. So just enough to pick that fond up, to pick this brown stuff up that we're starting to see, and put it back into the food. And so I'm going to do this off to the side a little bit here so that I don't shock the camera out. And with a wooden spoon, and a flat spoon at that, I scrape that fond up and I put it back in the food. And I deglaze it where the fond is. And I just pick that up and it disappears. And where does it go? Into your Brussels sprouts. So you've got a beautiful caramelized, a little bit of brown, not black, with the fond picked up from the pan, using a flat wooden spoon instead of a round wooden spoon. Why flat instead of round? Why do they like me more than you? Because I give you more surface area, right? To pick that stuff up. And you do that process until you get to where your vegetables are caramelized to the point you want, a little bit more to finish it up. And then I'm going to take my first easy seasoning, mustard syrup and Dijon, or maple syrup, mustard syrup, maple syrup and Dijon, and add it in and mix it in. And I have my first easy seasoned vegetable. I could choose to put that in, I could have put the sriracha onto it. I'll take the overhead shot, please, Ray. I could have done the sriracha into the Brussels sprouts. I could have done the, apricot, but instead we did Brussels sprouts, because I happen to love maple syrup and Dijon with Brussels sprouts. And 'tis the season. This is your Thanksgiving side dish. Very quick and easy. Let me clean the pan off. Okay, so any vegetable will caramelize. So you don't have to use just Brussels sprouts. But now we want to take that same idea and turn it into dinner. All right. And dinner basically just means I add a carbohydrate and I add a a protein. So my carbohydrate or my protein today in the back here, I've got some, this is some yuba tofu, right? Some yuba tofu already cooked, left over from yesterday's dinner, right? This is quick cooking. And I also have some chicken. And then for my carbohydrate, I actually thought I had some quinoa, but I didn't. So I just made some of this Trader Joe's Israeli couscous, and they have dried beans in there. It's a really good mix. And I think we're going to do both of these at the same time. All right, so same process again. What do I have? I've got some broccoli and I have some carrots. And I think we have actual time. I'm going to move back over to the cutting board shot for a minute, Ray, because we've got time. Let's talk a little bit about cutting because we've got the time to do it. All right. So, oh, I see let me straighten that up a little bit. Camera tilted a little touch. Let's see if I can straighten that. And hopefully it will stay straight. Stupid camera, don't be turning. How's that? That better? Yeah. Okay. So we mentioned that small vegetables are better for some process of caramelize the vegetable, deglaze the pan. And the reason why is because if I were to saute this carrot or saute this, which one would caramelize better? The smaller one, right? More surface area onto the smaller. So if you chop things smaller, you actually will get more flavor coming to you. And what's interesting also with small vegetables versus large vegetables is I find that I have a tendency to eat more vegetables if they are smaller. This is my test. I go into Whole Foods, make a salad out of the salad bar, always did the right thing, took the broccoli and the cauliflower. Broccoli and cauliflower were big pieces. So I would find I get to the bottom of the box and the pieces would still be there. Now, if I go with salad bar, I think they're open again. I haven't even made a salad from a public salad bar in 2 years. But I would break up the pieces. And when I get to the end of my salad, all the vegetables are gone. People have a tendency to eat vegetables when they're smaller. Let's talk about cutting. I've got a carrot. Carrots are dangerous. Watch out because they roll. And when they roll, you can hurt yourself. So what you want to do is anytime you have anything like rolls, like a zucchini or a carrot, I want to cut myself a base. Cut myself something so that carrot does not roll any longer. And then I'll take that, the rest of the carrot, and I will cut that into what we call planks. And then I can stack those planks. And I can cut the planks. Certainly, I could saute them like that. They have a lot of surface area. But if I wanted to make it even smaller, cut them into julienne or sticks. And also remember, when you are cutting and you have something on your cutting board, let's make a base so that I have a safe carrot. When I'm cutting my fingers, I want these fingers to bend under and then my thumb to go behind my fingers, right? So I don't want to cut like this and I don't want to cut like this. Ow, right? I want to go this way, and then this part of my hand becomes my block so that I can cut and my thumb is back here. My fingers are bent and I don't even have to look, even though that's kind of crazy. So remember, keep those fingers safe. All right, we'll go back to the stove shop, please, Ray. I've got my 2 nonstick pans, a high heat oil. You can certainly use avocado oil, olive oil, a filtered with you. If you have a extra virgin olive oil, you want it to be filtered and not non-filtered because it's the filtering that will take your extra virgin olive oil to a safer temperature, because without the particles in it, it will have a higher smoke point. I'm going to add my carrots to one pan. I've got some broccoli I'm going to add to another. This is what I happen to have in my refrigerator. And I'm going to do that process all over again. I'm going to caramelize my vegetable, deglaze my pan. Now, if for any reason we're only here for a few more minutes, but if any reason the stove shot goes off, it's because heat, and so we're going to try to prevent that from happening. But let me know, Ray, if my shot goes off, because sometimes I can't tell. Remember, you're going to mix that up and you're going to make yourself a flat layer, because where the secrets come out is the place where the vegetable touches the pan. Make sure that you have, if this is a great gift for the holidays, is a square or a flat wooden spoon. Many people, again, have more round spoons, but you don't get the kind of surface area that you want. If you are using a cast iron skillet, you can, of course, and you can use a nonstick pan, but you will not get the same amount of fond created. Cast iron is nonstick. Basically, that's why we season a cast iron pan. So you can certainly use it, and if that's what you have, that's fantastic. But think about the option of possibly getting a new, good quality. This is the kind of pan you want to spend money on, would be a not nonstick skillet. Now, what's also important is don't be standing by your pan and constantly stirring. People sit there and they just stir. And it's like, put down the spoon. You want the vegetables to caramelize. If you keep stirring whatever you've got in your pan, it's not going to be touching the pan. So turn on the fan, open the windows, let that heat touch your vegetables. You do not have the same problem with high heat and proteins like meats on a grill, because those hydrocyclic amines, or however you say that, sorry, I still don't know, those cancer-causing particles that we read about in the news come from the protein and the nitrogen, not from the carbohydrates. Now, we don't want black vegetables. That means burnt, but brown means fond, and that is good. All right, we got a little fond, and of course, the longer we go and the more vegetables we'd have more fond. I'm going to take a little bit of stock here. I'm going to do it off the camera. Again, not a lot. Let the steam go off, maybe turn that down, and then taking my square or my flat wooden spoon, pick it up. If I need more, I can saute again. In the background here, I'm going to use some olive juice. And now I'm just going to add, this is where I would add my already cooked meat, right? It's a quick dinner. So here's some tofu. Here's some leftover chicken from yesterday, right? I'm just going to heat those guys up. And if I wanted to have some grain, and trust me, it's not your whole grain that is causing you to gain weight. What's causing you to gain weight is not whole grain. It's the things you eat too much of. It's the cookies and candies and the highly processed carbohydrates. We're going to learn about that next class when we meet next Thursday at the same time for sugar blues, cooking with less sweet. Now I turned the heat off. I still have fond here. And you can see I'm just using different deglazing liquids. If you're drinking a beer, use a beer, right? I don't want to leave that. I don't want to leave the fond in the pan. If I can pick it all up, that would be my goal. And again, little amounts, right? I want little amounts. I don't want, here's a little bit more fond on this pan. Everybody's still there. Yep. Camera's still there. Yep. And then let's see, what do I have? I have the apricot, and you've got recipes for these two. Quick Cook that explains it a little bit more. And then in the back here, we'll let that get, I've got that kind of the Korean, Asian barbecue of ketchup. And I used ponzu, even though the easy seasoning says hoisin, which I could not find this morning. And a little bit of a hot sauce, and maybe a little bit more sauce in that. And so here we have, I have actually in a half an hour, I've made two dinner options and a side dish. And so we're gonna bring that all up to you as we transfer it over to the overhead shot, please, Ray. Okay. So yeah, we made our Brussels sprouts with maple syrup and Dijon, which again should be your Thanksgiving side dish. If you do it really small, you can do it right beforehand. If you keep the Brussels sprouts whole and roast them, again, you don't want to use water and only as an opportunity to bust through the first cell walls and make sauteing easier. So if you do use whole Brussels sprouts, you can blanch them quickly, and then I would either saute or roast them up in the oven. In fact, today, if you're, I can't find my tongs. I don't know where my tongs are. Whoops, sorry. So I will just have to, oh, I got another set of tongs in here. So yeah, if you do use Brussels, you want to keep water as far away from vegetables as possible, is what we learned in culinary school. Keep water as far away from vegetables as possible, because water will prevent your ability to caramelize your vegetable. And caramelize the vegetable, deglaze the pan, is what you want to do on an ongoing basis, because that's the way to eat fast. And your goal as an eater is to eat more vegetables, because what you need to do, per Dr. Robert Lustig, who's an MD, who's been studying sugar, we'll talk about him next week, is protect the liver and feed the gut. And the things that the microbiome eats, the gut bugs, ooh, they're right there. The thing that those bugs eat are the fiber that we do not, the undigestible fiber that we as humans do not use. We never quite knew why, why do we, the three main things in mother's milk, we never knew. One is sugar, the other is fat. We got that, but it was fiber. Why fiber? And now we know it's because we want to feed the microbiome of the baby. All right, Provident Credit Union, that is our class. I'm happy to take any questions. Remember, caramelize the vegetable, deglaze the pan, and use that easy seasoning handout. If you don't like any of the 3 ones I did today, you've got about 20 more here to refer to. Remember that there's no quantities here because it's for you to figure out which you like best. Think about it all as equal parts until you realize what you prefer. And then have at it, have fun. Take all those and just, you got 20, 25 recipes here. And that's quick cooking. And that, and if you don't want to add any seasoning at all, you've already seasoned your vegetables twice, caramelizing and deglazing, and you don't even have to add salt. I didn't add any salt to this. So that's another way to heighten our flavor and reduce our sodium, which is another thing we need to think about. Any questions? It smells good over here, Provident Credit Union. Yummy.
I'm jealous.
Ooh, smells good.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. We look forward to seeing you next Thursday. 11 to 11:30, we'll be doing Sugar Blues, Cooking with Less Sweet, and it's going to be about sweetness and the problems that we all have with extremely processed carbohydrates, and how we can actually start getting a control of our own brain so that it doesn't control us. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Ray, you going to end the meeting?
It's not here.
End meeting for all. Maybe I can do this. Here, I'll do it. Bye, everybody.